already knew that Stephanie Bonehead White is not the coach for damn mind. And now with these recent comments from Caitlin Clark, we know Stephanie White is.
Stephanie White has just faced major criticism, and many believe she brought it on herself. Caitlin Clark recently appeared on national television and shared which style of play she wants to model her game after. Ironically, it's the same style that Stephanie White has openly expressed dislike for. As a result, the tension between Clark and White has become increasingly obvious, and the situation seems to be escalating quickly. This raises an important question. Is Stephanie White truly the right coach for Caitlin Clark, or was this partnership flawed from the very beginning?
This last night, Fever superstar Caitlin Clark joining the NBC Sunday Night Basketball pregame show. She was a special contributor for last night's Lakers-Knicks game.
You can see her here alongside Pacers legend Reggie Miller. She is back on NBC March 29th when the Knicks play the Thunder in OKC.
Here's what happened. Caitlin Clark made her debut as an NBC analyst during the Los Angeles Lakers vs. New York Knicks game. During the broadcast, she was asked which NBA player she studies the most and tries to incorporate elements from into her own game, a fair question for one of the top players in women's basketball. Clark's answer was Luka Doncic. She explained, "Luka is incredible, not just because of how he scores, but because of how he passes the ball as well. He's not the fastest player, and he's not the most athletic, but he knows how to control his defender. He gets them to move where he wants and uses his body to create space." Clark added that she tends to avoid contact and move away from defenders, rather than embracing contact and using the space they give her. That, she said, is something she wants to improve by studying Doncic's game.
There a player or someone you watch even more specifically because there's things in his game maybe you would want to add to yours in the league?
Man, I think Luka. Luka's amazing and he's incredible. I think the way he can not only score the ball, but also the way he passes. And I think the thing about him is he's not the fastest, he's not the most athletic, but he can get his defender to move where he wants him to go and he takes up that space and he does a really good job of either keeping the defender behind him or keeping him to the side. So I think that's something I can certainly learn from. I always kind of want to run away from the defense rather than absorbing the contact and taking up the space that they give me. So I think obviously he's pretty incredible. He averages a 30-point triple-double. So he makes it look pretty easy, but I can promise you it's not that easy.
Yeah, he is coming off a triple-double.
That was a strong and thoughtful answer. Luka Doncic is widely regarded as one of the most skilled players in basketball, so it makes complete sense that someone like Caitlin Clark, who already excels at scoring and playmaking, would study his game. The issue, however, is that Stephanie White has openly criticized the way Doncic plays. There is video footage of White discussing his style on national television. While commentating on a Dallas Mavericks game during a stretch, when Doncic was sidelined with an injury, she compared how the team performed with and without him on the court. During the broadcast, White noted that when Doncic isn't playing, the Mavericks' offense looks different. She pointed out that he typically has a very high usage rate, meaning the ball is frequently in his hands. In his absence, she observed, the ball moves more freely, players are more involved, and the offense appears more fluid. In essence, her remarks were a critique of Doncic's ball-dominant style, suggesting that the team functions more cohesively when the offense isn't centered around one player. That's where the tension comes in. Clark had just expressed admiration for the very style of play White seemed to question, creating a clear contrast between the player's inspiration and the coach's philosophy.
Already knew that Stephanie Bonehead White is not the coach for Caitlin Clark. Can Stephanie White coach the game of basketball? Yes, but is she the right coach for Caitlin Clark? Probably absolutely not. I don't think she is at all. I don't want her anywhere near Caitlin Clark. Okay? Once you decided to... You put that girl at small forward in a damn basketball game.
Now here's where the situation becomes especially awkward for Stephanie White. Caitlin Clark herself is a high-usage player. Her game revolves around having the ball in her hands, creating scoring opportunities, and setting up teammates with her passing. That's central to her identity as a player. Yet White has publicly questioned that very style of basketball, one centered on a single, ball-dominant playmaker. The contrast is hard to ignore. Clark has expressed a desire to emulate Luka Doncic, becoming more comfortable controlling the pace, operating in isolation, and embracing a ball-dominant role. Meanwhile, White's comments suggest she prefers a system built on constant ball movement and shared offensive responsibility rather than one player directing everything. These are fundamentally different basketball philosophies. The tension also shows up in how White has coached the Indiana Fever. At times, the offense has run heavily through Aaliyah Boston, using her as a facilitator from the center position rather than consistently putting the ball in Clark's hands to initiate plays. That strategic choice only adds to the perception that there may be a philosophical gap between coach and player, raising questions about how smoothly the partnership can function moving forward. Under Stephanie White, the team has leaned more toward a motion-based offense that emphasizes constant passing and shared responsibility, rather than isolating Caitlin Clark and letting her create one-on-one. The approach appears designed to lower Clark's usage rate, a shift from the style that fueled much of the Indiana Fever's offensive success during her rookie season. After the Olympic break last year, the Fever developed into one of the league's most dynamic offenses. Clark orchestrated pick and rolls, knocked down deep three-pointers, delivered pinpoint passes through tight defenses, and often controlled the flow of games. The offense was efficient, the wins increased, and the system drew widespread attention. With White's arrival, however, the structure began to look different. Drawing from elements similar to what she previously used with the Connecticut Sun, the offense has featured more action running through Aaliyah Boston, positioning her as a central facilitator. In that setup, Clark functions more as one part of the system rather than the primary focal point. That philosophical adjustment has fueled discussion about whether the current scheme maximizes Clark's strengths or shifts the team away from what previously made it so effective. This approach isn't what fans signed up for. People aren't tuning in to watch Aaliyah Boston post up or Kelsey Mitchell spot up for threes. They're watching for Caitlin Clark. Yet Stephanie White seems determined to limit Clark's impact. The experiment of moving Clark to small forward was baffling. You take the best point guard in women's basketball and play her out of position. That either reflects serious incompetence or intentional mismanagement. Either way, it's unacceptable. The fact that it even happened highlights how disconnected White appears from the reality of what drives the Indiana Fever's success. The situation with Ariel McDonald only added fuel to the fire. White wanted McDonald to play point guard over Clark, putting another player in the position that Clark excels at. Decisions like that raise serious questions about whether the coach is genuinely focused on winning or pursuing some other agenda. Then, on national television, Clark shared that she wants to model her game after Luka Doncic, to be more ball-dominant, more creative, more willing to control space, and embrace contact, which directly clashes with White's philosophy. Stephanie White has openly stated that she doesn't like the ball-dominant style Caitlin Clark prefers. She favors more ball movement and lower usage rates. This isn't just a minor disagreement, it's a fundamental clash over how basketball should be played. At this point, the tension between coach and star player must be intense. Clark knows what works for her game. She has proven it at every level. She dominated college basketball with this approach and had tremendous success in her rookie WNBA season doing the same. Now, her coach is trying to change everything based on her own offensive preferences. That's a setup for conflict and potential failure. There's no question that Stephanie White can coach basketball, but whether this partnership can succeed under such opposing philosophies is another matter entirely. No one's questioning that Stephanie White can coach, but being a great coach and being the right coach for Caitlin Clark are very different. Clark is a generational talent built around controlling the ball, creating offense, and dominating games. White's philosophy of constant ball movement and lower usage directly clashes with that. By trying to fit Clark into her system, moving her out of position, limiting her role, and prioritizing others like Aaliyah Boston, White risks derailing the Fever's offense, alienating their star, and hurting attendance. Great coaches adapt to elite players, not the other way around. If White doesn't let Clark play her game, the tension will only grow, and the coach, not the player, will take the blame. This situation is a disaster waiting to happen.